Here at the Deal Machine podcast, our mission is to help you replace your W-2 income through wholesaling real estate, which is a strategy where you find a rundown house and you can make $20,000 for getting it under contract and passing it to an investor who wants to buy it with cash, renovate it, fix it up, and you make the difference, aka your finder's fee. On this episode, we're actually giving you a 15-minute recap of a podcast live that we do weekly for anyone who's got a trial or a membership of the Deal Machine app, which is a marketing tool for house flippers. Our special guest is going to cover what you should not say or what you should stop saying to sellers that may put them off. So common things people say, like the word investor, typically is a bit off-putting and maybe reducing the number of productive conversations you're having, which ultimately should be great to lead to deals. So here's this episode with our special guest and expert on things not to say to sellers.
Cold calling. Do you guys get angry people when you cold call? Why is that happening? So this is basically sales resistance. If you're calling someone and they get upset with you, it's because you've done something to trigger them. Everybody's had a bad experience with a salesperson. We're not talking about just houses. Maybe it was a car, a phone, insurance, buying something at the mall, whatever. We've all had bad experiences with salespeople. And so it's really easy to trigger somebody. So I have a philosophy in our sales training program is that it's their job to say no, right? When we're talking to someone, it's their job to say no. So they want to sell, they need to sell, but it's their job to say no. Because if it was their job to say yes, we wouldn't need salespeople. So it's their job to say no. But at the same time, they have a problem that they need help with. So when they agree to meet with us, even though it's their job to say no, if we do everything right, we should be buying the property. So I think that if you're a killer, you should be closing 30% of your appointments, and the other 70% we're just insufficiently motivated. Right? That's my own belief system. Right? We should be closing at least 30%. Because if you're not closing 30%, it could be one of two things. It could be the lead quality, but it could also be you're saying things that are triggering sales resistance, triggering anxiety, and then you get, what do you get? You get, how'd you get this number? Why are you calling me? What's your offer? Right? We hear these things. But we're saying something to trigger that kind of resistance, right? That kind of anger. Because if you look at it, if you guys are familiar with the DISC personality, you got D, I, S, and C. The D is the dominant. This is the person that's like quick to anger. I mean, there's a lot of good characteristics, but for the most part, like one of the things that you can tell about D personality is they're quick to anger. I are social people. S are stable people. C are analytical people. We know that about 5% of the population or less is a D personality. That means the other 95% of the population is actually pretty reasonable. But it seems like when we're cold calling, we find all the angry people. But the reason why it's happening is because we're triggering that sales resistance. We're saying something to upset them, to get them like, why are you bothering me? And look, you might be thinking to yourself, I hate being cold called. But you know what's weird? Half the country doesn't mind being cold called. Half the country just doesn't mind it. So then we're inserting our own limiting beliefs, causing more difficulty. So I want to make sure we got the mindset right and figure out like what's the problem here, right? And so there's a few things about things we might say that trigger sales resistance. So like it might be a normal conversation and we say this and they're like, oh, it's a salesperson, my guard's going to go up. So for example, is Mr. Camp there? If I call Matt and he answers his phone, I say, hi, is Mr. Camp there? What did I just tell him? We don't know each other. I just told you we don't know each other. So now we're inserting resistance. Or I say, hey, is Matt there? So I think back to like, when's the last time if I asked, hi, is Matt there? And I believe, looking back, is when I was in high school. When I was high school, I would call Matt's house and Matt's dad would answer the phone or his mom would answer the phone. I was like, hi, is Matt there? Since high school, I've never had a reason to ask, is so-and-so there outside of sales? So we say, hi, is Mr. Camp there? Or hi, is this Matt? We're immediately letting him know that we don't know each other. And this is now a sales call. This is now a cold call. So we got to get that out of our system. And I'll share with you guys how we do that. One of the things that we do, again, to trigger sales resistance is, how are you doing today? Hey, Matt, how are you doing today? This is a delay. This is a stall. This is just one of those things we say when we're uncomfortable. It's kind of like, you guys ever watch an interview after a sports match, sports game, whatever, and they interview the athlete and he'll say something, you know what I'm saying? And he'll say something else, you know what I'm saying? It's just like these filler words. That's just really distracting. How are you doing today? It's just one of those things that salespeople say for no reason. Because if I've never talked to Matt before in my life, why would I care how he's doing today? We just say it because it's comfortable. So what are the consequences of how you're doing today? He might tell me he's having a great day. He woke up early. He got his workout in. He had a killer breakfast. He got his green smoothie. He got his kids ready for school without any drama, right? He's going to tell me all these things. Do I care? I don't care. But what's going on? We're killing time here. And we're not making any progress. What's the other possibility? Man, Steve, I overslept. I already got 2 angry voicemails from my boss, right? And I'm already late for work. I gotta get in there. What's this about? He's angry. How is him being angry? Us bringing like his anger out, helping us. Or what's the third one? We come across as disingenuous because we really don't care. Now, There's a handful of people that actually genuinely care, but it's not a majority of us. I can promise, I can bet it's not a majority of us. We're genuinely worried about this person we've never talked to before, about how they're doing today. So remove it because there's no benefit to it and there's only downside. And they always say the same. How you doing today? Like, they all say the same. Hey, Matt, Steve, how you doing today? It's never like, how you doing today? It's always, how you doing today? It's always this like melodic sing-song thing. And it is now a good time. So I used to ask, is now a good time? Is now a good time? Makes us sound like we need the business. We need their permission. And what is a pretty common answer to is now a good time? No. What's this about? So we want to move away from is now a good time. So we learn about going for no. So instead of saying it's now a good time, we started saying it's now a bad time, which is better because now they can control it, right? But we now know what's most effective is just assume it's a bad time, because the reality is we're interrupting them from something. When we cold call them, this is not a scheduled call. They were doing something. Now, it might be something unimportant, like watching a TV show or whatever. But the fact of the matter is they were doing something and then they answered the phone. So we got to deal with the interruption. So the way we deal with it is, I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time. So it's just soft. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time. It's an assumptive statement. It's a negative statement. And generally what we hear is, I got a couple minutes, which is the truth, because why else would they answer the phone? If they're going to answer the phone, they obviously have a few minutes. No one's ever answering the phone while they're doing something important. They're not doing heart surgery. They're not cooking a romantic dinner for the spouse. They're not cleaning the pool. Well, maybe cleaning the pool is something they'll answer, but they're not doing anything like heavily intensive. So when they answer the phone, they clearly have a few minutes. So I hope I didn't catch it at a bad time. This is assumptive. It's a downward tone and is negative. And you're generally going to hear, oh, no, I got a couple minutes. What's this about? And then, are you looking for a cash offer? So here's the thing. It's not bad if you're asking the question, you're looking for a cash offer. Inherently, if they've never received a cold call from another wholesaler, there's nothing inherently awful with that question. The challenge we have is there was a big sales trainer, really big, like, I don't know, 5 to 10 years ago, John Martinez. And he had his cold call script. And it's like, hey, I'm calling you out of the blue or whatever, some variation of that, right? And then, are you looking for a cash offer? And then my understanding of a sequence of events is we got this other awesome guy, Brent Daniels with TTP, whose sole mission is to preach cold calling, talk to people, right? And he's got the TTP script. And the TTP script says the same thing. Are you looking for a cash offer? Now, have you guys noticed a lot of homeowners we talk to have had other people call them and ask them if they're looking for a cash offer? So they're getting that question a lot from a bunch of other people. Do you think they might be irritated by that question? So remove that question. The other thing too is this is something that I know I am very much in the minority here. You know, a lot of big operators, a lot of big sales trainers, they talk about, you know, making offers, you're tracking your offers, right? I believe offers is the wrong metric to track because homeowners, in my belief, don't care at all about getting a cash offer. When you're selling your house, are you looking to get a cash offer or are you looking to get cash? You're looking to get cash. So why are we talking about a cash offer? It's completely irrelevant to the conversation, right? Let's see. I got licensed in 2007. I had a lot of realtor friends. In my journey, I was a top performing realtor in the Phoenix market. I was number 38 in my best year, right, as a realtor. And the one thing I always laughed at is you always hear these realtors talking about, oh, I got this many listings. I just got 3 new listings. I just got 5 new listings. It's dumb. Okay. No one cares about how many listings you have. We care about how many houses you sold because that's what actually pays the bills. You don't get paid until the house sells. We don't care about how many listings you got. So I look at it as, are you looking for a cash offer or are you looking to put some money in your pocket? So quick tangent there, right? Like we go really deep into this in our sales training that we do in our private trainings, but we've all been trained on cash offers. And I actually had a conversation with Eric Brewer about this, I want to say 2 weeks ago, because he's been in the game longer than I have, right? I started in 2007. He started in like 2004. I was like, hey, do you know when this whole cash offer thing started? He's like, before I got into it. I was like, okay, so we got to figure out when this started. But again, I will die on this hill. You know, I think cash offers are stupid. So I just said all the things not to do. So let's talk about what we're going to do then. So if I call Matt, I'm going to call him as if he's expecting my call, as if he knows who I am. So when he picks up the phone, I'll say, hey, Matt, as if he's expecting my call, as if we had a scheduled appointment. It's hard. You're going to have to rewire your muscle. You can take a lot of practice. You can put in a lot of reps to rewire yourself. But you just start out with, hey, Matt, and this is the same thing as if you were seeing your friend. Okay, so have you guys ever been at the mall or at the supermarket and you're just doing your thing and you get this person who walks up to you and they're so happy to see you. They got a big smile and say, hey, Matt, how you doing? Man, how you been? And in your mind, you're like, who is this person? That's the experience we're looking for when we're cold calling. I want you to stop what you're doing and just start wondering how you know who I am. So that's the first part. Hey, Matt, it's Steve, which sounds weird because it's a yes or no question. It's Steve. But what's happening in his mind when I say, hey, Matt, it's Steve? He's thinking, Steve. Who is this? But you see what's happening here? It's called a pattern interrupt. That's what Tony Robbins calls a pattern interrupt. He stops doing what he's doing, and he's fully present on this conversation. Now, notice I didn't say, hey, Matt, this is Steve with DealMachine. This is Steve with Disruptors. This is Steve with We Buy Houses. I don't say any of these things because Matt doesn't care about my company. So I know David is proud of DealMachine, right? Like he probably wants to say, like, no, they care about DealMachine, okay? But the reality is no one cares about the name of your company. So when you say like what your company is, it just makes things more complicated. I have signed multiple houses where they had no idea the name of my company. And sometimes they didn't even know my name, right? At the end, like, what was your name again? They just sold their house to me. They sold their house to me. They signed a contract and they don't even remember my name. So nobody cares about you. Only people that care about you are you and your mom. That's it. So don't say, this is Steve with DealMachine. It's like, this is Steve. And they're going to think, what's this about? And they'll say, I hope I didn't catch it at a bad time. Okay. So call you as like I know you. Yes, no, tonality. And then I hope I didn't catch it at a bad time. And this is where you're going to hear, no, I got a few minutes. And then I'm going to lean into it, kind of like a whisper. The reason for my call is, and then I jump into my call, right? Jump into what we're going to talk about. But you see there, I had 4 different things that happened in a span of like 3 seconds. But now we've piqued their curiosity. And here's the thing about cold calling. If you can get past the first 15 to 20 seconds, you're going to be much more likely to have a conversation. If you get past the first 30 seconds, you can have a conversation. So like if you buy a Toyota, if it fails 3 times in the first 3 months, I forget about it. The car's a lemon, right? But if it doesn't fail in the first 3 months, it's probably gonna be a good car for the first 100,000 miles. So if we can get past the first 30 seconds of the phone call, we're probably gonna have a quality conversation. We gotta get past the first 30 seconds. And then, so the reason for my call, can I take 30 seconds with you, share with you why I called? And after that, you let me know whether we should continue the conversation or not. Here's the first time we're asking for permission to have a conversation, right? Not, is now a good time? Are you looking for a cash offer? Is, can I take 30 seconds, share with you why I called, and you let me know whether we should continue the conversation? And then say, sure. At this point, we use a 30-second commercial. And what a 30-second commercial is tell them the 3 feelings that the homeowners you work with generally experience. Not the 3 symptoms, not the 3 consequences, the 3 feelings. So if you're predominantly driving for dollars for business, then you want to describe the consequences or circumstances that the homeowners you're buying houses from are experiencing when they're driving for dollars. So what are some reasons why someone was selling their home to you guys? Deferred maintenance, right? Hey, I got a lot going on, I just haven't been able to take care of it. Or they're tired of fighting the city and the HOA, and maybe they're just down on their luck. So I say, homeowners that we've worked with in the past, or homeowners that we bought their homes in the past, were just angry with all the back and forth fighting with their HOA and their city, are just overwhelmed with how much it's going to take to repair the home, and they just don't know how they're going to do it. Or they want to sell their property, but they can't stand realtors, and they rather sell it to us than deal with the hassle. But I don't suppose any of those apply to you. So I said feeling 1, right? Angry, fighting the city HOA, overwhelmed by the amount of repairs they have to do with the home, or thought about selling, but they can't bear the idea of working with another realtor. I hit 3 different feelings, not the situation, their feelings. And then I end with, but I don't suppose any of those apply to you. What we're doing here, we're not suggesting your house is ugly. We're just saying, hey, other homeowners we worked with, or they had ugly houses, but I don't suppose any of that applies to you. And they say, yes, that one applies to me. Great. In what way? And they start talking. Is, oh, hang on a second. I told you I only needed 30 seconds. Should we continue this conversation? Right? Because when they ask for 30 seconds, hey, hang on real quick. I only asked for 30 seconds. Should we continue this conversation? That's how we get past the first 30 seconds. But yeah, that's basically it as far as cold calling. Like there's a lot going on here. There's some mindset stuff, right? Like we don't make cash offers, right? Like we only buy houses for cash. There's the pattern interrupts. There's the tonality. There's the assumptive statement. There's the takeaway. Like there's a lot going on here. So I've had a coach. One of my favorite coaches was Larry Yatch. He was a former Navy SEAL. And one of the biggest lessons I took from him was that the gold is in the gap between what you believe to be true and what I believe to be true. So anything I said that doesn't line up with how you perceive things, let's talk about it, because that's where most of the learning comes from.
Thanks for listening to the DealMachine Real Estate Investing Podcast. Please leave us a review and follow along wherever you're listening to your podcast.